Welcome everyone to the Group Fitness Report. We're back to you on YouTube to share ideas, resources, ways to level up your team and your leadership as a group fitness director, manager, or even a club operator who knows and understands the importance of group fitness. Today, I'm bringing on the legendary Gail Bannister-Munn, exactly. And I'm so grateful for her, first of all, for making the time and showing up right after she had just had an intense knee surgery. So I'm so grateful for you being here and sharing your thoughts about fitness professionals. So as you saw in previous advertisements and posts I've made about fitness professionals, when I spoke with Gail and met her recently, what I just kept hearing her say over and over again was, we need to stop thinking about these professionals within our communities and our clubs as group fitness instructors or personal trainers or health coaches or whatever we might put in between them, and put an and, replace that or with an and by using the term fitness professionals. So the first question I have for Gail, as we've been coming out of the pandemic, we've talked about how we have so much difficulty finding new instructors, new talent. What do you recommend what are the traits, I guess, of applicants or people within your facility that understand or show that fitness professional kind of aura? What are some of the traits that you recommend clubs pay attention to?
Right. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm excited. 2 weeks post surgery. So if you see me grimacing a little bit, it's me moving my leg around and breaking up some scar tissue. And it's funny, we planned this date knowing I would have the surgery, so it was perfect. So, but thanks for having me.
Yeah.
You know, the industry has changed so much. I mean, I remembered dating myself a little bit, looking at exciting instructors, the animation of them where they teach a class. And back in our day, I'm saying my day, we didn't have YouTube or Google or TikTok. Now is a new thing. Instagram, you have to literally go into gyms with your business card in the back pocket, with your backpack, and take a class to experience that instructor, and then walk over to them and kind of stick your business card in their bag. Give me a call when you get a chance. You're amazing. And then you'd run out and pretend nobody ever knew you, because that's how we interview people. You know, that's how you found them. And that has changed so much. I do give YouTube and Instagram and all these things props, in the sense that you can have all these other tools to find really great instructors. But with that said, you also have to be mindful that these people are show people, not group exercise sometimes. They're performers, they're actors, and they have perfect bodies, they have perfect cueing, perfect animation, but you have to dig deeper than that. So if you find a YouTube or a TikTok or an Instagram with somebody who's just so dynamic and people are hooting and hollering, do a little bit more research, dig deeper, go on their Facebook page, Google them up and see where they come from, if they have a history of clubs they were taught at. My biggest thing with clubs that people teach at, if an instructor is teaching in 5 locations, that's a good instructor. If an instructor is teaching at one location and you notice that they're constantly changing locations, that's something you have to be aware of. Why they're changing so much. But if you have an instructor who has 4 locations and they're teaching in those 4 locations, this is somebody you have to get to add them on to you, because they're consistent. And these people are not letting them go. But I love reading resumes that over here, but why are you changing so much? What's going on? So for me, I like consistency on their resume. I like years of experience on their resume. I like certifications on their resume. And not just, I'm a Zumba instructor. I want to see you have a Zumba and an AFAA. Or I'm just a spin instructor. I want to be able to see you have, Mad Dog Athletics, spinning with a primary certification. I love when people send me a resume. I'm a kickboxing instructor, but I worked out at MMA, but you don't have any certifications for kickboxing. That doesn't make you a kickboxing instructor. It makes you somebody who participates in MMA and kickboxing. Mm-hmm. Can you download that? Can you teach that? So those are little things you have to look for, not just read the resume. You have to kind of look a little deeper. It takes a little bit more time. Mm-hmm. But definitely do that. I also, when I get resumes, I date the resume when I get it. So I have to go back. I'll know I have this resume here. If it's somebody I'm looking for, I would make the call. I mean, in New York, I'm in New York City, so we have to make the calls like, "Hey, Stacy, how are you doing today? Oh, so nice to call you. Are you vaccinated?" That's the
Right.
second question. Are you
Oh,
vaccinated?
wow.
And they go,
Yeah.
yes, great. So now we're continuing with the interview process. But if they say they're
Yeah.
not vaccinated, in New York City, you have to be vaccinated to go into the building. You're like, add this on to the repertoire. Oh, hiring instructors now,
Yeah. Yeah.
even an employee for the front desk or training and housekeeping, are you vaccinated? So
Mhm.
add that on to the list of other things
Mm.
you have to check out,
Oh, yeah.
So it's changing. The times are changing.
Oh, so true. I
But
love
yeah,
yeah. And I
go
love how
ahead.
you mentioned the TikTok, the Instagram. Like
Yeah,
I really appreciated what Will Brereton had said recently on his podcast was be careful when you say the words uh rock star instructor because
correct.
I think people, it's kind of similar that it's the old school mentality of like you're performing on a stage and there's people who will just follow you no matter how engaging you are in explaining why,
Right,
how, levels on doing a squat. It was more just you were up there and they would all just kind of figure it out because you
right.
had that performance, and performing is still part
Right,
of the
right,
the success of an instructor. But I love that you mentioned like you have to dig deeper on who these people
right,
really are they do they take what they do as a career versus like a hobby, and
right,
they're yeah, and part of that is how many locations they're teaching, and that's great.
right. And the other thing too with the instructors who are performance based, I'm not going to call companies names, but people read between the lines. These people are actors and actresses doing this as a
Mm-hmm.
part-time gig to substantiate what they're now doing during COVID because they're not getting acting gigs, and they are making
Yeah.
lots of money on these different apps that are. Look at, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they're perfect. I laugh sometimes because, the best part is that they're super flexible. So they make these movements look so amazing. I'm going,
Yeah.
okay, where's the digression?
Yeah.
Because you're all the way up here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
coming out of a knee surgery. Where is
Oh,
the
yeah, what about
modification?
me? What
Exactly.
about
And
me?
I'm laughing and I'm going, thank God in my head, I know, but they're
Yeah.
here. Like, and I coach, and I hope who's watching this, but I coach on a scale of 1 to 5. And the problem with 1 to 5 is that people will start with 1 and then get to 5.
Mm-hmm.
But where's the 2, the 3, and the
Mm-hmm.
4 to get you to 5? And when I do
Yes.
workshops, like I present for SCW and DCAC and
Mm-hmm.
other conventions I bring in, I will say to them, I know you want to get to 5
Mm-hmm.
because you want to pack class, you want to be that hit instructor. But how many injuries you're going to occur without getting
Yeah.
to 2, 3, and 4? So you have to remember
Mm-hmm.
that it's not about getting to 5 because you want to keep up with the class before you that had 50 people in the room. It's about keeping people
Mm-hmm.
safe and showing that you may get a different clientele of people, but at least you can get a consistent clientele of people.
Yep.
Go, I take her class, she's safe. I had an injury,
Yep.
she helped me through it. Versus this
Mm-hmm.
high intensity class all the time. And if you look
Mm-hmm.
at schedules now,
Mm-hmm.
90% of the classes and schedules are hit based classes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What happened to dance? What happened to strength training? What happened to good old fashioned kickboxing choreography with no
Mm-hmm.
weights? A
Mm-hmm.
yoga class without just a nice, easy flow yoga. It's like
Yeah.
weighted yoga, hidden
I
zone.
know.
It's like,
Mm-hmm. I
oh my
agree.
God. It's like, just come on back to basics. Give me a basic step.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why Zumba is still doing well because it's an
Mm-hmm.
easy class to follow. You get your
Mm-hmm.
cardio going and you have fun. You build with a community.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Yeah,
is
and
what
it's
it is.
that community piece. And yeah, it's
Yep.
seeing that those instructors who actually are identifying with the behavior change aspect that,
Correct.
is
Right.
part of that journey for their clients. And like you said, you being the best instructor does not mean you're the hardest instructor. That's
Right.
so,
Right.
so,
Right.
so valuable. I love it. So when people are seeking a true fitness professional, we've kind of alluded to this, but um, we've talked about, the characteristics of when you're looking at resumes, when you're looking at applicants, what makes them a fitness professional, or what's what are aspects of what they're doing and what they're saying that make them a fitness professional. But how do you recommend fitness facilities maybe even tap into their current team and identify and foster that fitness professional culture or mentality, and how to do that and why it's important?
It's a good question. When I look at a resume, sometimes I hate to say it, I get so many resumes and I skim them really quickly.
Yeah.
I don't read the bio so much. I go right to the credentials
Mm-hmm.
and see what it is and how long they're certified. And then I'll backpedal up top to see the bio. And if anybody's listening to this, and I hope they are, when you write a bio as a director, I don't want to hear great communication skills. I can speak really well. I want to hear, I've been teaching for 15 years. I'm a seasoned instructor. I've taken these amount of workshops to better myself to where I am. But they talk about their personalities. I'm going, I want to know what it is. But then every once in a while, you got a spark where somebody will say, I really love fitness. I really want to further my education during this. This is my passion. Anything you can do to help me, I mean, that's the key word for me. Anything you can do to help me, I want to grow. I'm calling you.
Yeah, growth. Oh my goodness, I
That's your
agree.
diamond in the rough right there.
Yeah.
You pick up the phone and
Mm-hmm.
grab, but
Mm-hmm.
and you got to find those diamonds in the rough. The other thing I love is reaching out to my staff and go, I know you're in the club.
Mm-hmm.
What else is going on out there that I'm missing? And I always put it on me.
Mm-hmm.
How many other instructors you have out there that I can trust, that you think is a good person to bring onto the team? So now you're making them feel valuable, that you're reaching out to them to
Mm-hmm.
ask them for advice, and
Yeah.
they will supply, and they feel empowered to come to you and say, I saw this girl Stacy teaching, she's amazing, she's really sweet. And I'm like, well, what makes her so sweet? But she covers a lot, she responds back to emails. Okay, that's what you want. Then you
Mm-hmm.
meet Stacy and you do it from there. But I would say
Yeah,
65% of my instructors refer people to me. And I put it out there. I'm
absolutely.
looking for people. I'm looking for people.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I get a text, call this one, call this one, call this one, call this one.
So
So
awesome.
I get a lot of referrals from in-house versus out-house,
Mm-hmm.
And then here's
Absolutely.
the other catch. If I get a resume and I'll use Equinox. Stacy works at Equinox, and I have an instructor who works at Equinox. I'll call my instructor and say, hey, this girl Stacy, what do you know about her?
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, I
Mm-hmm.
get an earful about Stacy prior to interviewing Stacy coming in. And they'll
Yeah.
tell me, like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I get the face
Mm-hmm.
first. Like, she doesn't cover a lot. What do you mean she doesn't cover a lot? She's a diva. She doesn't like covering classes,
Yeah.
and she doesn't
Yeah.
respond back to the things. She doesn't show up for meetings. I'm like, all right, next
Mm.
resume. You move on.
So true.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I love that you said like a good strategy is tap into your team, because the people
right.
who've worked for you are obviously, especially the ones, that's what's interesting about this pandemic. I understand that it's made it really hard for us to find new talent, but the current talent who's stuck with us, they obviously are in it for like the long haul.
Correct.
Like
Yep.
they are in it for the right reasons, because we probably
Yep.
haven't been able to pay them the best, but we're getting better. Like at this point, hopefully we're starting to compensate them more and understand, the extra things they're having to do, but they are the ones who are going to be great resources. That's such good, valuable feedback. And then when it comes to the current people on your team, maybe they aren't, if you see this, you've hired this new person, or you see this newer instructor that you've had on your team, and you want to help them become more of a fitness professional, are there strategies that you use? Maybe it's referring back to your instructors again. Do you ever use either your current team, or have strategies to help your current instructors level up to more of a fitness professional?
That's a double full question. So let me start with the new one. The one that if I hire a new instructor that's coming into, well, the company I work for is Crunch Fitness, and we
Mm-hmm.
are New York City based. So we have one in Flatbush, Rochdale, and the Bronx. Our neighborhood is predominantly a very cultural neighborhood, and they're big community based. They know
Mm-hmm.
who's not there, why didn't you come, who didn't show up, whose kid's sick. They know everything about that person. So if you bring in a new instructor, I have got to put that new instructor on stage with one of my
Mm-hmm.
regular instructors and
Brilliant.
let them bring them into the fold. Make them have a big party and have fun to bring them in. Once they get that trust, then that
Mm-hmm.
instructor is good to go. I don't just throw them out there to the wolves, because they'd be like, oh my God, I don't think they like me. And then the other
Yeah.
thing about our program is one thing I don't like. Um, at New York Sports Club, when I was a director, we didn't put the instructor's name on the schedules. We just
Mm-hmm.
had the schedule up.
Mm-hmm.
So the members familiarize themselves with the instructors when they started on the new schedule. Oh, you teach on Mondays, right? Yep. They made a
Mm-hmm.
note on that. What other days do you teach? Wednesday morning. All right, I'll see you Wednesday morning. And the reason we didn't do that is because it was an open opportunity for members to see the class, not marry the instructor, because
Yes,
we
yes.
have to build attendance, right? Because
Mhm,
from an owner's perspective, how come Gail has 50 people in the class, but John on
mhm,
Tuesday has 5 people in the class? What's going on with
mhm,
John? So now the members are
mhm.
marrying the person. So we never put the names on.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do with new instructors is that I mentor them and I let them come into. Here's the other thing I do too. If you're interviewing, I give them a guest pass and I have them come into the club a week prior. So
Love
they get
it.
to see the classes and the instructors and the energy of the club and the fitness floor and take, we have a
Mhm,
class called Hit Zone, take like a CrossFit kind of thing, take the classes, where do you see yourself
mhm,
teaching, like the Hit Zone, like classes, and then I interview them and I'm like,
mhm,
well, what did you like the best? And they were like, loved it all. Well, what did you like? What
mhm,
didn't you like? And usually you
mhm,
get things like the front desk staff is so friendly, and that's one thing we do very well. Front desk
mhm.
is so embracing. They pull them in, and they said the instructor was great. And they'll give me. It's funny. They will give me evaluations on my instructors that I didn't know about. Well, she was late in the room when I was coming in. I was gonna
Oh,
go to the front desk. I'm like, what? She was late,
oh,
because the instructor
yeah.
doesn't know I'm sending it in the instructors. So you get that. I'm like, oh, I gotta make a phone call. So I love new hire taking classes the week before, and
Mhm,
then I have a formal interview on the phone, and then I come into the gym and we go in
mhm,
to class and we do a quick audition.
mhm,
And it kind of gives them a set the bar to say, this is what she's looking for. So game up or
mhm.
game out. And I've
Yeah.
had people say, I'm not ready to work for you. Those instructors are amazing. I'm nervous. And then I'll talk them through that. I'm like, well, what are you nervous about?
Mhm, mhm,
Why don't you
mhm.
come in and let me interview you and let me see what you have and let me tell you what you need to work on? Or you might be just so
Yeah,
insecure.
yeah,
And they're like,
yeah.
oh, and then they come in, I go, you're perfect. You're just scared of what you saw, but let's get you there, you know?
Mhm,
And 90%
mhm,
of the time, you see 90 days later, these guys are just as wonderful as the other
mhm,
instructors. And
mhm.
then the other part that you asked about is my inside staff. I don't pop into classes.
It's tough.
Stacy
It's tough.
knew that because when you walk in, all of a sudden they're perfect. Hi,
Oh,
everybody, what's
yeah,
going on? The
it's
queuing
true.
game's up,
Yeah,
their
it's
arm
true.
alignments are perfect, and they're connecting with
Yeah,
everybody. So I don't do that. I
it's tough.
send in, I send in spies,
Okay,
and
see,
it's
listen in.
really
This is
bad. I send
strategy.
in spies. So yeah, exactly. So I have members like will come up to me and say, I said, which class do you take? I'll take gen. I said, I'm hiring a new instructor. Can you go check this one? Oh yeah, I'll go and check it. And the members feel empowered at the point. Oh, she was great. You need to keep her. She blah, 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 blah. But I cannot go into the classes because the instructors go, oh, Gail's here.
Yep.
Evaluation up, and it's
Yeah.
like the game up. So I was like, oh,
Totally.
I can't do it, But then sometimes I go, I'm coming in,
Hmm.
don't panic. I just want to see what's going on and stuff like that. And they're good. I mean,
Yeah.
I've gotten to the phase with them now that if they see me walk in, they see me at
Hmm.
the front desk. I'm like, hey, what's going on? They're going, you taking class? I'm like, do I look like I'm coming to take your class? And they start laughing, like, you're not taking class. I'm like, no, I'm not taking class. I'm just doing some work. But then I'll put my head in the
Awesome.
studio and go,
Yeah.
and I'll put my head back out and I'll put my head back in. And then
That's
I take my
awesome.
camera out and video the class and hype them up so they relax even
Oh,
more. And then I put it
yeah.
up on the Facebook page so make them
Oh,
relax even more. You know.
that's
But
awesome.
if I see there are things that they're doing after class, I'll make a phone call to them the next day and said, and give them a little bit of feedback. It's like, listen, everything you did was great, but
Mhm,
this would make it a little bit better if you tried this instead.
mhm,
And they do
mhm.
it. They make the changes. They make
I
the change.
love
But
it.
it's hard. It's
I
hard.
love it.
It's hard. They see me
And
walking, they're like, poof.
I know everything's perfect. Well, and I think every
Exactly.
group fitness manager needs to write down the get up or get out. Like, and that is
Right.
the environment as a leader of group fitness instructors, and what I'm hearing you say is like you show up. You show up for your team.
Yep.
You see the importance of the the values of a good instructor or a new applicant or a good applicant are the ones who sometimes, like you said, the diamond in the roughs are the ones who have that
Yep.
lower, I don't want to say lower self-esteem, but the ones who are willing to take feedback, who are interested in feedback. I just this year started to incorporate, I'll always give them immediate constructive feedback after their
Right.
audition. If they can't handle it, I
Yep.
don't care how good their audition was,
Right.
they're not going to work for
Correct.
me.
Correct.
So I
Correct.
love that you value that, and the importance of it is that your team understands that expectation is to continue to improve and to continue, and you hold them accountable. Like you said, I have to make a
Right.
phone call. Like,
Right.
people
Like,
don't
what
get
do you
away
mean
with
she was
that.
late? Like, what do you mean she was late? I'm like, call
Yep.
him up, like, so what happened last night?
Question.
And they
Yeah.
go, and they're like, what happened? I said, well, but you know, I got stuck. I said, come on, man. I had a new instructor take your class. It made me look bad. And I always put it on me. It made me look bad. They're like, oh my God, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, I didn't think I had to tell you because you're always perfect. They're like, oh my
You should
God, I'm
be
so
on time.
sorry. They're like, tell her to come back next week. I got them. You know, they're like, I said, man, you know, I'm very animated too. It made me look bad. I was bragging about you. What happened? And oh man, I please tell her to come back, you know. And it's funny when the
Yeah.
instructor goes back, they were like, they go over the stereo with them. They'll go through stereo, how to manage it.
Oh,
They're really good.
yeah.
They're
Yeah.
really good. My team, they will tell them how
Mm.
to operate the stereo, what not to use, what to wear,
Mhm.
you know, what the members like, what playlist to adjust to. And I'm like, all right, listen to them more than me, because you
I
know,
love
every member
it.
is different, you know.
I love it.
So
That's so
it has
awesome.
to
Yeah,
be,
and
yeah,
so interesting, that strategy to have them go to classes beforehand. It's another way
yeah,
for instructors to know that they need to be on their A game, because you
yes,
let them, like, as you don't have to, like you said, you shouldn't have to let them know every time a new instructor potentially is going to go to their class, but
right,
it's a way, if they know that that's going to happen, that might just level them up even more. Like, who knows if one of these participants is someone
right,
who's basically about to report to her how my class went, because
right,
they're possibly going to teach here. That's a great strategy to level up
yeah.
your team.
I did
And
that.
how often?
I
Oh,
started
go ahead.
doing that before COVID
Yeah, brilliant.
because it knocked out 90% of the interviewing process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, well, what
Yep.
do you mean you want me to come take classes prior to
Yep.
auditioning for you? That's a
Yeah.
sign right there. I'm
Yep.
like, well, I want you to come see the club and feel the members out. Oh, well, you know, I teach and I really can't move my schedule around for you. And I'm going, okay,
Yeah.
what I know what I'm dealing with right now. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So
a hundred
that's
percent.
something you have to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It's
you
so
have to pay
true.
attention to. Yeah,
It's so true. Yeah. They don't
yeah,
obviously make the important things important, right?
right, right, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. It's so great. And then, as far as how many, do you have very many instructors who also do other like other things in your club, like personal train, or, or health coaches, or do anything like that?
I always believe in the hybrids, and I like the
Mm-hmm.
hybrids. You know, there was a time we were
Mm-hmm.
like, Group X was this silo and PT was this silo, and you never crossed it. But I always believed in hybrids
Mm-hmm.
because you're able to go, oh, what do you mean Stacey can't show up for the class? No, she's stuck in a snowstorm. Who's on the floor right now? John is. John, how many clients you got right now? I have a 6 o'clock to 6:30 break. Get John in there. You can do an abs class. And John is one of my instructors
Mm-hmm.
who does boxing. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, John, this is, and I teach the hybrids, especially the trainers.
Yeah.
Every time you go into a group exercise class, you don't get a client out of there, you failed yourself. You
Oh, yeah.
need to
It's
walk in
such a good
there and
opportunity.
get one client out of there. You know who
Yeah.
you are. You walk in and go, hey, I'm John. I'm one of the trainers on the floor. I'm filling
Yep.
in for Gail today. She's stuck. Well, we're going to do some upper body workout and then make yourself sell your brand to get more clients.
Yeah.
So I
Mm-hmm.
always believe that. Now, COVID came in, we hired a lot of hybrids. We
Mm-hmm.
hired a lot of hybrids. Their thought process is different than group exercise, though. So you have to really
Mm-hmm.
adapt when you bring the hybrids, and meaning that they're not as quick to check emails.
Mm-hmm.
They're not as quick to show up for meetings. They're not
Mm-hmm.
as quick to, they follow the policies and procedures, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not as locked in as a group X because they have
Mm-hmm.
two things going on and their
Mm-hmm.
immediate money is personal training. So if you
Mm-hmm.
can adapt and respect that and
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, well, I know your priority is personal training, group X is secondary, but you're my hybrid,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
have to also think ahead and say how you're going to
Mm-hmm.
reword it to show them
Yeah.
like, hey, you teach 2 classes a week for me. If you don't
Yeah.
walk out of there, those 2 classes with them not knowing your name or seeing you on the floor,
Yeah.
I said, think about it. They're going to know you on
Mm-hmm.
the floor. Hey, John, great class yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's your job to market yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've
That's so
encouraged
good.
group exercise instructors to flip and they don't want to flip. They're just so comfortable
Mm-hmm.
in their mold.
Mm-hmm.
So now I look at trainers who say things like, I'm a boxing instructor. I teach
Mm-hmm.
kettlebells. I like kettlebells. Like, okay, kettlebells is good.
Mm-hmm.
Kickboxing is good. So you want, I
Mm-hmm.
teach strength based, I teach boot camp. Those are the instructors you
Mm-hmm.
want, because you
Yeah.
can train them into other classes, upper body, lower body, up down. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
train them to do dance classes, but you can train them into the real strength stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you have
Absolutely.
extra people on staff, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good point to realize or recognize, you know, the training team, they are a part of two teams essentially when they become a group fitness instructor. So that change in how you communicate with them, how you ensure they're still a part of the communication, but like they're still hearing what they need to hear. Hopefully, maybe
Right,
recording meetings you have with
right,
your group fitness team, but it's going to be a different relationship. And what's interesting in this pandemic time is I've seen we had a couple, it's difficult. You're right. I've had a really hard time, a much easier time getting personal trainers to teach group fitness. I think there's this extra energy. It's different. It's
right,
fun. They enjoy that. It's almost
right.
energy feeding for instructors when they go to personal training or they try it. It's challenging because it's more of they have to be the energy giver.
Right.
It's like,
They have to, they're missing walking in and having all that energy
yeah,
come at you
yeah.
versus they're draining you. So if a
Mhm.
member comes in and goes, I'm just having a bad day today, you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's tough for them.
right.
Yeah,
It's tough for them to adjust to that, you know,
yeah.
versus the trainers are like, wait, I have 15
Mhm.
people in here. I got to
Yeah,
perform pretty much.
yeah.
They're like, all right, let's do this. They can
This is
adapt
fun.
quicker. You know, it's
Exactly.
fun to watch
Yeah,
them going, what are you doing? You know,
yeah,
so it's
yeah,
actually fun to see
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and something we've seen in the pandemic is one of our group fitness instructors, we had really low, right, capacity levels that we could have during COVID. And one instructor built this small group training class that has kind of hung on. So where that could happen is more that small group
Right,
training where they're paying something to see that individual instructor for
right,
a more
right.
one-on-one or I guess a more personalized experience, but still in a group. So that's another interesting way to mix the two. But so appreciate all of your advice today. I wish we could talk about this for hours. I know we could,
Oh, yeah, we
but
absolutely can. This can go on and
um,
on.
it could totally go on and on. So I'm sure I'll bring you back on again. Appreciate
Absolutely.
everyone for watching this video and Gail for being here. If there's anything else you'd like to get from Gail, you can find her on social media. You can find her all over, like she said, the presenter network. She's out there, out and about, presenting and sharing her knowledge. But I appreciate her time today, and we wish you the best in healing and
Thank you
recovering.
so much. I appreciate you so much too having me. Call me
Yeah, of course.
anytime.
Of
And next
course.
time I meet, I probably will have a working knee.
I know. Yay. Should be
My
standing around.
son
Should be
called.
jumping around.
I know my son calls me. He goes, "What do you mean you put the knee in?" I'm like, "They took it out and they put it in." And he goes, well, "What did they put in there?" So I sent him a picture of it. He goes, "You're the new Iron Woman." I go,
That's so
he
funny.
found it
That's so funny.
fascinating. Yeah, yeah, but
Yeah,
yes.
so
But
funny.
anyway, thank you so much,
Thank
guys. I hope it
you.
helped and reach out to me. All
Thank
right.
you.